Are we on? Happy Sunday! Woohoo! Hey everyone! Hope you're having a great Sunday evening. I believe we are live. And if we are, welcome to NERDTASTIC, where we, a filmmaker,
an actor,
and a writer,
take our favorite properties and say,
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
Beef. Whoa.
Kapow.
Fancy with. Oh no!
Sunko.
Welcome to season 2, everyone.
That
means we got high production value here going on now for our second season.
We got more budget.
Welcome back. I am Patricio, filmmaker and director of Lumpia with a Vengeance, and this is.
Hi, I'm Earl Balon, aka Early Be Good. I am an actor improviser based in Los Angeles, California. And I too am on the cast and crew of Lumpia with a Vengeance. Specifically, I'm an associate producer, and I'm part of the cast. I play G-Dog.
Hi, my name is Jessica Keyson. I am a writer. I am the writer. I've written for several sites like Screen Rant and Nerds Rule the World. And I am also an associate producer of the film Lumpia with a Vengeance. As prods. Also, I'm in the movie like a little bit as well.
Yeah. You are absolutely in the movie a little bit.
I'm in the movie just a bit. Just a little bit. So no.
Yeah, it's season 2 already, and we're still in this movie called Lumpia with a Vengeance.
Yeah.
Still around, guys. Still trying to find an audience. I think the big update that's happening is we are having our WonderCon premiere. NERDTASTIC.
WonderCon.
NERDTASTIC. Yes, so it's safe to say that it is, because they just announced it, so it's okay to blast this out now. We're gonna have our WonderCon premiere in Anaheim Convention Center at 7:30 p.m. on Saturday, April 2nd. So WonderCon weekend. If you haven't got your badges yet, definitely get the 3-day badge. But if you're gonna pick one day, pick Saturday. There's a lot of stuff happening, and if you missed out on San Diego Comic-Con, we had such a great time, right, guys? So I mean, we're hoping that people come out for WonderCon. It's gonna be big. So there's definitely a little more announcements, but yes, we're gonna be, hopefully, if you're in town, things are opening up again. I know Justin, Earl, and I would love to see you guys. So how are you guys doing?
Really good. It's I know we've probably talked about it before already on our show, but it's been many months since. But the I will say the going from festival to festival to San Diego Comic-Con special edition was, like, honestly the highlight for me last year. After a really rough 2020, it was really great to go out there, meet folks who were really genuinely excited to see our movie, and the fact of the matter was, like, really just good to keep seeing everyone over and over again. It kind of felt like a little weird, like, school reunion every time I saw you guys, like from like every festival to every event. And it just kind of felt like, oh cool, we're gonna see the movie, we're gonna hear folks' reaction to the film, and then afterwards we're gonna hang out. And we did that lather, rinse, repeat each time, and it was really great. And I'm glad in one regard, I'm kind of glad we got one more of these for WonderCon. I'm really excited for more people to see it, especially because I had folks who waited in line for the San Diego one and they told me, like, they didn't make it. These are friends of mine. These are friends of mine who were literally waiting in line. And they actually didn't make it.
Them in? Come on, Asprod could get more power than that.
I know. I thought they were like, I'm with the DJ, and then the security was like, that don't matter.
I get there's movie power, and then there's Comic-Con power, and I don't think the Comic-Con lords would have allowed us. Far different.
It's true.
Yeah, that is a
Well,
different
the
level.
WonderCon gods are much more. Hopefully,
Yeah,
yeah.
they can probably get into the Wonder God one, hopefully. So,
All right, Earl.
What's up? Yeah. It's been good. Uh, like Justin said, we had a pretty nice run last year. Just doing the festivals. That last I guess the last screening of the year at Comic-Con Special Edition really was pretty awesome. Not only did, like Justin said, we pack out our panel and screening. Our both of our autograph sessions were full, like an hour and a half straight
Crazy.
of signing autographs.
Crazy.
That was the really surreal part for me. I was like, who are these people? You know. And but thank you everybody for coming out. It was such a great surprise. And you know what was really cool about Special Edition was it was kind of like, I think for most of us, our return back to the con since since pandemic.
And it's what delayed our
happened.
return to Nerdtastic because we were still in the cloud 9, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Now we're here.
I mean, why not start off with really the biggest IP, I guess. I mean, this IP, you know, Batman has gone through so many different iterations. Mr. Funko Pop point out here. And, you know, I mean,
Nice.
I don't know if we can, I know a lot of people know the history of Batman, but Justin, do you have your Wikipedia there? Can we just go, what are the origins of Batman?
You mean the
Vengeance.
Batman?
The Batman?
The Vengeance.
I don't know.
Oh,
what
man.
he's saying.
Batman.
The Batman.
The Batman. I don't know why I did the Italian thing. So no, Batman. God. So we're gonna, Batman. Batman is, how do I even describe him, and how do we even get there? Okay, so we're gonna go well back into comic book history, and this is gonna be a big one. So after the success of Superman in 1939, National Comics, which will eventually become DC Comics, requested more superheroes, and Bob Kane and Bill Finger collaborated and created the Batman. And essentially the character had a lot of evolution from when they were coming up with the character, and going from, like, he kind of looked like a, you know, Kane's initial drawing was kind of a weird Superman knockoff with red boots and like kind of red tights with a small domino mask. Eventually evolved into the costume we get to know today. Bill Finger suggested the cowl instead of the domino mask, and you can go back and forth on the evolution of the character, but obviousst that came about definitely as a reaction.
He started dark. Batman started dark already, right? Right off when they created him, he was already kind of like a bad and a dark figure of the night, right? Before he became campy, I guess.
Well, yeah, no, and it's like,
well, yeah, the 60s happened, you know.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? A lot of and here's the thing: there's a lot of obvious inspirations to Batman. If you look at the kind of literary characters that clearly influenced the creation of Batman, you have the Scarlet Pimpernel, and I think the most obvious, biggest one is Zorro. You know, Batman is kind of like this, like the concept of Batman is like this, like sort of like pop culture sponge in a weird way, because like they were grabbing inspiration from everything from characters like pulp characters like Doc Savage to Shadow, Dick Tracy, to like famous, like, you know, famous characters like Sherlock Holmes. And in a weird way, Batman just sort of became this amalgam of all these different elements that just became the Batman that we know today. And in a weird way, Batman keeps evolving as decades go on and on and on. And it's interesting, the fact that like a character who could have just kind of been blended into the background, or just been a long list of other pulp characters like the Shadow and guys like the Shadow, he kept sticking out. Can you give me a Shadow nose, Earl? By the way, with that deep voice.
Just like, yeah. The shit. Well, I don't know.
Who
Do you remember
knows?
that movie? That the
The Alec Baldwin movie? I
Shadow?
definitely remember that movie. It's not good.
Alec Baldwin.
I saw somebody walk like many people.
It was
walk
good
into
for
that
its
theater.
time, though. I mean, the budget stuff. I think it was.
It looked
decent.
good.
I enjoyed it. I was also 12 or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. We were kids. I liked it as a kid. That movie also was is like a weird tangent, but that's what we also do on the show. That movie is the reminder. That movie is also proof to me that like I sort of still wish Alec Baldwin in the 80s played Batman, and because I think he would have like clearly looked like Bruce Wayne and clearly has the voice to be a Batman, and the Shadow's almost like kind of proof that he could have played Batman really well. But yeah, oh well, they made that movie and he wasn't Batman. That's a different episode on the movies. Trust us, that's its own hour. But
We should cover the Shadow sometime soon.
we should
Do
do
you
a
guys
whole
know
episode.
like what's the this whole controversy? Bob Kane and Bill Finger. I know there was a whole documentary. Is
Yeah.
it kind of like the Marvel, Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko thing, or because I personally don't know the history of Finger and Kane.
Yeah, it'd be kind of I will say I'll do my best to kind of simplify it, but it's way more complicated than what I'm going to explain. But
Okay.
and if you notice when I was talking about the creation of Batman, I kept saying both of their names equally because for the longest time, Kane took sole credit on everything. On everything. Like he would contribute that, oh, Bill Finger made up some stuff, but I came up with all the Batman things that and it became very obvious due to like kind of proof and notes and some actual documents that no, Bill Finger kind of came up with the majority of what we know as real Batman stuff, and that documentary that's on Hulu, I would recommend that they go well into it. Far better than I can describe it, but I do feel like that is the heart of the conversation. The heart of the controversy is that for the longest time, Kane would never even mention Finger as the co-creator of Batman, and this is a very clear situation that Bill Finger was absolutely the co-creator of Batman. So when I was doing my little breakdown of the history, notice I mentioned both of them like equally, and I could even make the argument Bill probably deserves more credit than Bob at the end of the day for the Batman that we know. Like he's the one who came up with Joker. And if we don't think of Batman, if you think of Batman, you generally almost always associate the Joker very quickly with it. So Bill Finger is Bill Finger was not allowed to be part of the history of Batman's creation for the longest time. And then finally enough information came out that he can be included.
And I think that's the history of like IPs, right? You think about like it's really who controls the narrative in terms of the history, right? Like Bob Kane has been credited with creating Batman for so long, and then when the movies come out, it's usually when IP gets really, really big, then people start digging and find out the real truth, right? That seems to be a common thing, not only with Batman. I mean, with Superman, there are all these rights. It's still ongoing, I think. It's the Superboy and all that.
Yeah.
So I've always found it fascinating in terms of the business end of IPs. And Justin, maybe you could just for people who are just joining us, what's an IP again? What's IP in the world of Nerdtastic?
IP in the world of Nerdtastic is our cute little way of just saying IPs. And I was actually waiting to see when can I bring it back up again.
I know.
And I'm like, and I was like, kind of like,
you figure people have seen season 1.
No, I thought you were gonna build it up to me and like, here you go, re-explain it, which is what you did. So no, here you go, pass, pop, and like, no, IPS is kind of our way of just sort of like, of just sort of like pointing out is our term, is a way we say IP, intellectual property. Intellectual property just sounds so lawyery, it's so corporate. So
intellectual property.
But that's a big part of it, right? It's
yeah.
Kenergy Prime in the chat says, but who created Dark Claw?
Kenergy Prime, hold off on that thought until the end. And I think it's Larry Hama. That might have been Larry Hama.
yeah, Larry.
We've had lots of Larry Hama conversations lately.
We have. I know that's not. I mean, I guess he's written Batman, so I guess it's fine. But like, yeah, maybe can we get Larry Hama? Producer, can we get Larry Hama? I would love to interview Larry Hama one day.
A whole episode about Hama.
Just Larry Hama.
Yeah.
Just Larry Hama. We'll talk. The dude's got an amazing career. Anyway, going back to Batman. Let's talk about the fact that, like, where have you guys, like, what was do you remember your first Batman comic book that you ever read?
It's a hard one for me because
go first.
I do remember there was I mean, there have been several Batman and Superman like team up arcs, and I want to say one of those was probably like my actual first, but the one that I remember very clearly was actually a trade paperback called the Untold Legend of the Batman, or is that
okay?
It was a trade paperback, which was like a it was basically 3 floppies in one, but it was an arc written by Len Wein back in the day. Or
yeah.
And
no, you're right. It's Len. Yeah, Len wrote this. Yeah, you're right.
And it was basically like a retelling of Silver Age Batman's history, and which the old story was called The First Batman, and was, you know, telling the story of how Thomas Wayne was the first guy to don the cowl at like a masquerade ball.
That's right.
And it was like Lou Moxon and Joe Chill, all that stuff. So but I had that 3-episode or that 3-issue arc in a little black and white trade paperback that I read to pieces. So yeah. And that was probably I'm gonna say that's the first one I read. That and Batman Son of the Demon. Oh man, that was
Son of the Demon.
Yeah.
Such a good trade.
On my end, it was really kind of like it was always the supermarkets, right? They always had the packs where they would like put like 3 Batman. I don't know if it was all Batman or maybe it was a mixture of DC superhero stuff. I know the Batman. My earliest memory of a Batman comic book was really the Neil Adams stuff. And I'm trying to find the cover because it's like the cover. It's where it's in my head, and I'm trying to like go through the gallery of Neil Adams Batman covers and see which one it is, you know. But I always fell in love with that blue and gray outfit. I mean, to this day, I still wish there's a movie adaptation that actually does the blue cowl instead of the black one, just only because I just love the way Neil Adams drew that. So but yeah, it's same thing. Like I think I got drawn because I didn't realize he was a detective. So all those stories, I think the fact that he was always in there, always solving crimes. He was like a Sherlock Holmes, and I think that's what at that time I was reading a lot of Encyclopedia Brown in grammar school.
Nice.
So I think the stuff was with Batman was kind of like a good kind of segue into that world. And I gotta admit, I was more of a Superman fan at the time, so I wasn't really into Batman so much. The Superman was much more cooler, and he had the coolest movie with Christopher Reeve. So Batman was still kind of like second superhero. But I mean, I dig this vibe. I mean, obviously when he went to the whole big Frank Miller thing, I didn't really jump on that. I didn't become dark. I didn't get that part yet until maybe later on. But yeah, that's my introduction to Batman and the comic books.
You got to get older to get a little of that moodier Batman in your life.
Well, I think Super Friends is like the first entrance of Batman overall, right? And so reading the comic book and seeing him as a detective, he wasn't a joke. Yeah. Because that was the first time you saw Batman. Was you're introduced either to the Super Friends and then the old '60s campy show, which I loved. But I think it was. I didn't realize he was more of a more serious character in the comic books, and I kind of like that.
Oh yeah. I just, as a counter to that, like I said, like one of the first ones I read was like Son of the Demon, right? And it's also a detective graphic novel, but it's very dark. And then the next one I read after that, because I had borrowed from a friend, was Death in the Family. Death in the Family, which is like
I love that Family.
Yeah. It's as dark as you get.
I mean, I mean that Death in the Family was the one where they had to do a phone call, right? That you had to call it in, and I didn't take part in that, but I read all the hype, you know, on the comic books and what they're gonna pick, and like, you know, again, it's all this whole marketing thing. Like
totally forgot about that.
I mean, I don't know. I still think that they would have killed him no matter what, but it's just funny to think about how they do this to kind of hype up the Ips, you know. So it's funny. How deep are we gonna get into this in terms of like the business of making this IP kind of flourish, and how did it over time? I think that's why Batman's such a fascinating IP, because I mean, it's old. It's really, I mean, how many years now? And
almost 100.
and it's like it's yeah, and then for the movies, it's like that's Warner Brothers like home run now. Like if if the franchise ends, like they just have another person reboot it.
Yeah.
It's like you know, that's their franchise forever.
Batman Forever,
and like the other superheroes. Yeah, Batman Forever.
Batman Forever.
So yeah, no, I mean, like I to kind of answer my own question, I do think my earliest Batman memories, the first, I'm sure I don't actually remember my first single issue. I know I definitely had a single issue of something, but I do remember, like, I think this is the reason I got into the character, was I had a book called The Greatest Batman Stories Ever Told. It was a graphic novel. It collected a lot of
Paperback.
I vaguely remember that one.
Here's how
it was super thick, right?
I remember.
It was super thick.
Yeah, it was super thick. Yeah. And I got this book at the Warner Brothers store, if anybody remembers that. Do you remember when Warner Brothers was like competing with the Disney stores?
The Disney store? Yeah, I totally remember that.
Warner Brothers had their Warner Brothers stores. So I remember asking my mom, can we get that?
Never had that up north.
Oh, you guys didn't have that up north. Interesting. Yeah, we had
there weren't a lot of them down here. But they had
South Coast Plaza is where we had it. I remember that's where it was at.
South Coast Plaza.
Yeah, Orange County, little area
next to Walden Books.
So, which made it very So, but yeah, this book was really, this is a collection of a bunch of stories from like the oldest from his first appearance to at the time whatever the current one was. But it was a really good kind of overview of Batman. So I read some older Batman comics from Dick Sprang all the way down to Chuck Dixon, and that book had a lot of really great stuff in it, and it does include my all-time favorite Batman.
That was was that the Robin? Which Robin was that?
It had the thing about the book is it had a little bit of everyone. So it had a Grayson story, it had a Jason Todd
and that's how I categorize the Batman era, is like, which Robin are we at now?
Yeah.
Is it the Nightwing era? Is it the Tim Drake?
We're Damian right now. We're Damian Robin at the moment. Yeah. But really, we've been in Damian for a while, honestly.
It's been like 10 years since we've been in Damian and Robin, right?
It's been surprisingly. But no, that one actually contained my favorite Batman comic, which is still my favorite Batman comic of all time, called To Kill a Legend. And this is kind of like a neat story where it's sort of like it's kind of like No Way Home, but for Batman to a certain degree. And the story is Batman is Batman is contacted by, this is a deep cut DC character, the Phantom Stranger, who's like their Doctor Strange, is the best I could describe it. And he has Bruce, and so he basically asks like this Bruce Wayne to go to another Earth, because DC has Earth 1, 2, 3, whatever, and he asked Batman to go to another Earth to stop that reality's Bruce Wayne's parents from being shot. And the purpose of that is that he always feels like, because every 20 years, another reality's Bruce Wayne's parents will be murdered, and that Bruce Wayne will become Batman, which is a kind of a neat way of explaining reboots every 20 years. And the reason Phantom Stranger gives his offer to Batman is that, like, I think it would be nice if one Batman felt some sort of closure on what he still feels is his failure. And so it's Batman and Robin gets transferred to this other Earth and, like, tries to stop the death of the Waynes from happening to Bruce Wayne again. And it's a really cool story that actually re-examines Bruce and Batman, and examines like a world where like like what happens if I do this to this kid. And there's even this one point where Robin realizes this is a world that has no superheroes, and so he's going, oh crap, if we do this, do we deny a world that could have a hero like Batman to save it? What's the responsibility of that? It's a great story. And it's and like I say, it's kind of reminds me of like No Way Home, because it's like in that one where it's like it's different elements of the past iterations and how they reflect the current one, so it's that one's like in that book, and I think that's the book that made me like, oh, I guess I like Batman. Like I think I like Batman comics now.
The Phantom Stranger. I vaguely remember this dude.
Yeah, he's a trip. There's like 8 origins for this character, and like no,
Right.
and they're all like, maybe it's this one.
That's so weird, because I mean he shows up periodically in I mean he shows up in Young Justice a couple times.
Yeah, he showed up in Young Justice. Batman Brave and the Bold, the cartoon, brought him in,
which is a lot of fun.
It's a lot. That's an underrated show, I think.
It really is.
So going back to the comic books, is there a specific artist or writer that you guys generally think of when you think of Batman? That's not Bob Kane or Bill Finger.
or Frank Miller. I mean,
like
Frank.
Oh yeah, Frank Miller, absolutely, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we haven't touched on Frank Miller. How about is Frank Miller an answer for either of you guys?
It's a little more recent, but like I always bring up the Jim Lee era, like the Hush stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That, and I think because I'm talking about Untold Legends of the Batman, the John Byrne stuff.
Huh. Well,
oh my
you know what I liked, what I enjoyed during that time when when Frank Miller came out on all these year 1s, year 2 and stuff like that. Like year 1, definitely my favorite. What's the artist name? David
Minichelli.
Am I forgetting the artist name?
David Minichelli,
Minichelli.
Yeah, it's
but I'll tell you that I was a big fan of McFarlane, so like I think he did year 2,
yeah,
right? So even
dude.
that cover or even a brief moment, like when he touched Batman, like when I found out he did Batman, because I went backwards. I was a big fan of Spider-Man, then I realized what he did Batman. I kind of like so I was like, get away, Frank Miller, get away. It's like McFarlane.
Do you remember that like that crossover series? It was a big thing. It was Image and DC.
Oh yeah.
He did their version of Batman, Spawn Batman, and Batman Spawn.
Batman Spawn, right? Yeah, I have. Yeah. That's one of my favorite issues. But it's I mean, crossovers. That's not canon. I don't think, right?
Right.
Well, here's the
It's
thing.
just a money grabber.
Like, this is maybe that was Earl. You were a little more reading Spawn at the time. Was the Batman crossover more in canon for Spawn than the other way around? Because
I feel like it was,
because the Batarang is literally in the middle of Spawn's face, and then for many issues after, he had the stitched up
Spawn
face.
had the shoelace like tying his face together.
Which I'm like, wait, did the crossover happen?
So that actually happened. I still remember that last line, because they were kind of at odds the entire comic, and then Spawn goes like, "Hey, what do you say we bury the axe?" And then Batman goes, "Bury this," and he throws a Batarang at Spawn's face.
Can I say, as a kid, that made me so mad, because I was like, "Why is Batman such a jerk?" And now I know it's because Frank Miller is like very angry a lot. So, so like, oh, because Frank Miller is not a happy guy, so he makes Batman mad when he writes Batman.
It's funny when we think about it, because I'm trying to think of my favorite Batman comic, but I think out of all the properties, it's weird. Like Batman has so many milestone comic books or storylines, not from the I mean, mostly from the 70s, 80s, 90s, even currently, even stories that I've not even touched, because I know it, because they always make these new DC animated films based on like new things. Like I think they had Death and Family a few years ago, and then
Right.
every time they come up with a new Batman anime, but wait, I didn't read that story yet. So it seems like he has a lot of. It seems like for a creator, it's like a creator's wet dream, right? They if they get Batman, they tend to like really put like their 100% like their best on it, and they always come up with really the greatest stuff. I feel when you think of creators, I think especially big ones right now, right? There's always an iconic story that writer or artist is known for, Batman story, and I think it brings out the best. I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think?
There is something about Batman that creators like. It seems like every comic book creator, almost every comic book creator, if they want to, they have a Batman story in them. And it's wild because I think Batman is a character that is arguably the most flexible of all time, because you can he'll fit in almost every genre. Like detective crime movie, you got it. Big old giant robot that's attacking city, yeah, he can take care of that.
Right.
Put him in a planet, yeah, no problem. Like every genre that's superheroes.
And that's surprising because I just went to the comic book shop recently, and there's so many Batman titles, so many of them. And I remember the title I got was Batman '89. Like, I got the based on the movie. I'm like, okay, I
still want to read that, but I haven't read it yet.
Batman '89.
But no, he's
come out with that.
Yeah, it's kind of like if the Keaton movies kept going. Right. Which is kind of cool.
Yep.
So
they even have Billy D. Williams right now as Two-Face.
Yeah,
Billy D.
So no, there is something to that. Like I feel like Batman is the character that if a creator gets their hands on Batman, they have like this need to they seem to get bent to whoever creator is doing it. So it's like I'm trying to think like if you get like Frank like Miller kind of went harder edge, and that totally worked. But like Scott Snyder got to do his more kind of like Court of Owls storyline, which is not as dark and as intense as the Frank Miller story.
And there's a new guy now, right? King, right? Is
Tom King.
Is Tom King? Am I getting that right? Yeah, he's the new hot writer. And that's what I'm saying. It's just that it always brings me back to read the comic books. I remember when Capullo took over, right? And that those storylines were great.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much the what do you call it, the New 52 ones, but so here's my question, right? So let's pick what is the I know we talked about stories and their favorite covers, and but I'm just thinking, what is your, if someone, let's take my son for instance, Logan, right? What would be a good entrance Batman comic book for you? Like, what do you think would be, if you want to introduce someone to Batman?
Ooh.
What comic book would that be?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Like my head is screaming year one.
It's a tough one, even though he already saw the Batman already in the movie.
Right.
So.
Your boy saw the Batman already?
He fell asleep.
Oh, okay. It's a long movie.
No. I still haven't seen it. I need to go watch it. But it's coming out next month, right?
It should be on HBO Max soon. I guess it almost, this is going back to the fact I think the character's so versatile. It depends on who's asking you. You know, like if I have a person who's asking me, hey, I really like the Batman. I kind of want to read some of his comics, but I'm not super into like the big over the top superhero stuff. What can you recommend? And I can go, okay, I got you. No worries. Then that person I would recommend Darwin Cook, who is one of my favorite comic book artists and writers of all time.
After the movie, you gotta forget to watch the the Long Halloween, right? That's the one. If you watch the movie, the Batman.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Jeff Loeb so much, but I liked him here.
Right. This is what Jeff Loeb was good. But no, I was going to recommend there's a one shot called Batman Ego that Matt Reeves has said that was his inspiration, one of the inspirations for the Batman. And Ego is a character.
I've never heard of Ego.
It's really good.
Who wrote that?
Artist Darwin Cook wrote and drew the
Oh,
comic
Darwin
book,
Cook.
and it's one of my favorite. Yeah, he's one of my favorite artists, and the book is more psychological. It is Batman confronting his own id, quite literally. And it goes deep into the psychology of Batman. And I would say that if you like the Batman,
You know,
this is a
did
really
you
good
guys?
one
I think is the reason why I liked Legends of the Dark Knight.
Oh
Remember Legends
yeah,
of the Dark
yeah,
Knight?
that was fun.
I think when that came out, what I liked about it was that after it ended after 3 or 4 issues, there was a new story. So if you weren't digging it, then you would just keep going. I remember, I forgot how deep I went to that series, but I know that was like at that time that was like the maybe third or only fourth new Batman story. Now there's like 10 Batman titles
I
now.
know.
So, but that was interesting. I like that because I think Gotham by Gaslight was that was a separate
That was the Elseworld
graphic
thing.
novel.
Yeah,
But man, we could make a whole list.
Yeah.
You just throw an artist name, and then I'll think of a Batman story that's connected to that. It's like,
That's possible.
Oh, the Hellboy. Oh,
Mike Mignola. Yeah, he did Batman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Pat, can you go into a little bit more of the Long Halloween? I think the Long Halloween is a good one to get someone into Batman.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah. I don't know where to start about Long Halloween. I mean, I don't want to spoil it for Earl. I mean, well, if you read it, I don't know. It's like, the Long Halloween. What I liked about it was that it focused a lot more on the detectives stuff, and it went through the whole rogue gallery. Like 3 seconds delayed. I'm like looking at reactions.
Earl, sorry, it's okay. Earl, do you have an answer for the? Yeah.
I was thinking like I thought Batman Year One was kind of a good place to start, but again, it's more Frank Miller, and I don't necessarily think like that's a definitive.
I'm telling you,
Batman,
I'm gonna introduce Logan now to the Killing Joke. I think it's time for Killing Joke. I mean that book like totally puberty hit me at the same time as I watched
build up
Killing Joke.
Build up to Killing Joke. Maybe like when Logan's 15, he can read Killing Joke. Maybe not quite yet.
Brian Boland.
I don't know.
It's a
tough
name
question.
Name a Batman. We know the artist.
I'm curious. Actually, let's play like Pat created a game, and I don't think he realized. Give me an artist's name.
See if they've drawn Batman.
And see if they drawn Batman.
Byrne, I didn't know John Byrne drew Batman. What story was it? Earl, you mentioned John Byrne. Did he do a Batman?
The Untold Legend of the Batman. Yeah, it was
I don't think I've seen a John Byrne Batman. Even so used to Fantastic Four.
It was very much the classic, Silver Age blue with the yellow insignia.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you my weird. I'll tell you one of my favorite John Byrne Batman stuff. He did a crossover, and it's funny because I'm literally wearing a Marvel shirt while we're talking about Batman, but I found a way to tie it in. John Byrne did a Batman Captain America crossover comic book.
Interesting.
And it was a comic book that it's not in canon; it's all for funsies. But the story takes place in World War II, so it's a Batman who is an active Batman in the 1940s. And it's really, really good. It's like a really good crossover. And that uses like Golden Age Batman stuff, Golden Age Batman stuff as he's teaming up with Captain America. And Bucky and Robin fight, and the Joker and Red Skull team up, and until the Joker realizes Joker and Red Skull team up, and they even have like a poison spray off Like
Interesting.
like Joker's like toxic laughing spray, and then
Right.
Red Skull at the time had kind of like a Red Skull spray that made your face red.
See, that's interesting.
So-
we got to talk
I
about
remember
villains.
that.
Now. I think we haven't really talked so much about your favorite villains, right? Because it seems to be tied into the
Oh
not only
god,
the artist but the story, right, Justin?
yeah. There's so many Batman villains.
There's a reason why, the rogues. It's called Rogues Gallery. There's just
Yeah.
how many people has he put away in Arkham?
I dare make the bold claim he might have one of the, if not the greatest, comic book villain
Rogues
lineup
Gallery.
of rogues out
Yeah,
of all
absolutely.
superheroes.
Yeah.
But why? What do you think
Totally.
why do you think that's the case? I'm curious. Because I think he does.
Well, isn't it the fact that
I-
the villains are always more interesting than Batman, right? And I think with cases, right, if you're a detective, you need to figure out, different situations and different cases. So I
Mhm.
figure that maybe the villain, I don't know the history of who created the villains and stuff. I know the Joker is one of them, that has lasted this long, but and I don't know if see, and that's the thing, this is the deep dive, right? I don't know how the villains, because of what the campy TV series did and made them like a gang, a whole one group. Did that happen in the comics quickly where all of them teamed up? I thought that was just one by one, and then maybe the series made it a thing to do where you just put them all together, hence Super Friends and everything. Everyone's always teaming up against each other.
I think
But
I
think they always have
yeah.
to come up with new villains. Yeah.
Well, I think the memory of the TV show is people. I think one of the, if I can be honest, I feel like the memory of the TV show is that people think that the comic books of the TV show was lightening up the comic books. I think a lot of people didn't realize that, like, oh, the comics then were also goofy. They were just reflecting what the comics are doing. But I think the teaming up element that you're bringing up, I think that just kind of became more organic in the show, purely on the fact that they had all these actors there. And that's the thing about the Batman TV show, is that it really does highlight the uniqueness of Batman's rogues gallery, and the fact that they're all so unique and different and interesting that, like, yeah, you kind of do want to see, well, what would happen if Riddler hung out with the Joker, and what would happen? What would the Penguin be in this lineup, and Catwoman, etc. And no one wants to invite Eggman because he's weird, but Egghead, I think it must be Egghead. There's a lot of weird ones. King Tut, that's another one I remember that's being really weird.
King Tut.
Yeah.
I honestly think that, like, it all goes back not only to the fact that he's a detective, but like you mentioned earlier, it's Batman as a character himself is very versatile.
Yeah.
And fits into like a lot of different things. And it's kind of interesting to think that, like, Batman is like the comic version of like a Monster of the Week TV show, right?
Excuse me. Yeah. No, I can see that. Yeah, thank you. Here's another interesting thing about the Batman villains, because I think that you're not wrong on that, Earl, is that they have to be like a Monster of a Week for the character to always be like, oh no, what is that? But then also they have to keep coming back, because Batman can't kill, it's a comic book. They don't kill bad guys. They have to come back one way or another. Even if they die, they come back anyway. And so I think what's interesting about the Batman villains is that every week they have to be something that they have to do something that Batman can solve every week or every issue.
Right.
And it has to be colorful and light, to go with your Monster of the Week thing. They each have to be unique and into itself of the story every week. And then because they have to come back, that means they have to have some element about them that Batman could solve that's a little different each time they come back, Like Riddler is probably one of the great. Riddler is obviously the easiest example because, okay, every week, every time Riddler comes back, he's got a new slew of riddles that we have to have Batman solve. Or like say the Penguin. It's like, okay, so if Penguin's a crime boss of some kind, then what's his new dealings? What is he doing now? What is he, etc. And of course, Joker is going to do his wild out there pranks that basically are deadly. So how does Batman stop the new iteration of that? But they can't die at the end because sorry guys, everyone keeps making that same joke. Oh, Joker is so deadly, why can't Batman kill him? It's like, well, then the comic's over.
Like,
no more
do
comics.
you really?
Well, look,
do you really
if
not
the
want
villains
another- yeah.
make up a certain part of Batman, what do you think the sidekick Robin then represents? Because he's been going through Robin's life. Robin's talk about psychological damage, man. Like, what did they do with poor Dick Grayson, man? It's like
Right.
becoming Nightwing, and
There's
got
definitely
replaced by Kid.
an unhealthy relationship there. He's just like, fuck it, I'm going off on my own.
Well, I mean, like, I guess Batman, like the Robins are like, here's the, do you guys consider Batman more of a father figure or a brother figure, depending on, which Robin? Where do you guys see he, in terms of the Robin? Is he Kuya, or is he, is he a dad?
I definitely think
Hard.
there
It
are
depends
like
on the.
daddy vibes, like with but as the Robin ages, it does turn into like older brother, because
Yeah.
like I would never say at this that Nightwing views Bruce. I mean, Dick Grayson doesn't view Bruce like as a father figure anymore, probably.
Right.
He's definitely still some kind of authority figure in his life.
Yeah.
So I think it depends.
But
on
it's funny how
age.
the movies always tend to avoid Robin. Like, they don't know what to do with Robin in the movies. I mean, and every time they've done Robin, I don't know. I mean, it's almost
I
like,
feel-
especially
Why
with the
haven't we
Batman
seen a Robin?
now, it's
You're
like-
right.
Batman and I mean, again, we got to
Yeah,
hold
they're
off
always
on a
scared
little
of
bit
him. They're always
till we
scared
get
of
to
put at him.
Yeah, I mean, we can go in deeper when we get to the Batman movies. But my theory is Batman and Robin
Yeah.
really put a bad stink on Robin in cinema for a long time.
Holy rusted metal,
So
Batman.
the
Remember
Robin in
that
the
line?
comic
I
books,
was like,
I'm how did they get from Tim Drake to Damian? Because Damian is
Yeah.
even younger. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
and I think he died. I got
Right.
the issue where he died, and then all of a sudden he came back, and then now there's a whole family now, and it's like,
Yeah.
so yeah, father figure. It's like, my gosh, he's already freaking the Batman bunch happening here. It's like,
I mean, they're quite literally referred to as in fandom as the Bat family at this point.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
yeah,
It's kind of I love. First of all, I want to say I love Robin. I've always loved Robin. And I think the legacy of Robin is interesting to me because if you look at all of them from Dick, Jason, Tim, Damian, and Stephanie Brown, who was Robin for like a hot minute. I think the thing about Batman. Here's how I view Robin in general is that like Batman needs Robin eventually in his life because Robin, specifically Grayson, Robin. That story I just told you guys about, that my favorite Batman comic book where Batman stops an alternate reality Bruce Wayne's parents from getting shot. Robin is the actual closure he needs of helping a kid who became an orphan. And that's Dick Grayson. And so to me, Batman's important to Robin's important to Batman as a character because you start Batman off in this dark path of being vengeance and being the knight. And when he eventually sees the events happen again in a similar manner to Dick Grayson, he has found an opportunity to use this. Not so much that's not the main reason why, but him adopting or taking care of Dick Grayson is his first step to healing.
Daddy.
Yeah, to healing himself and to refocus his mission, the mission. And Robin's a big part of that.
it's all about the mission.
It's all about the mission.
The mission.
And Jason
What about the
Todd's,
mission.
and then Jason Todd is
Wait, so we're
another
talking about
failure.
the villains, the sidekicks. What about all the other supporting characters like Batgirl, Batwoman, like all the spin-offs now? It's gone. This Batman universe has gotten bigger now, where they're spinning off everything, right? I mean, even there was even a Alfred TV series. So like in the comic book,
the
Alfred
TV shows, yeah.
it seems like it's just the lore keeps getting deeper and deeper, where it's almost like we're gonna, next thing you know, we may even, I don't know if they've done the Bruce Wayne ancestors or something when they immigrated here. I don't know. It's like it's there's nothing that hasn't been tapped into yet in the Batman lore, or hasn't there? I don't know. It seems the writers always come up with something new. You know,
it's funny because like you mentioned Alfred, and it's like Alfred, and in the comics he started off as like, the butler. He's a butler,
Right.
and then someone, one writer went, hey, wait a minute, but what if he was like a soldier before he became a butler? It's like,
and that's why he knows how to like dress wounds and cook and all this stuff.
Yeah, and then that evolved into a TV show where Alfred's sexy and he's a spy. I don't know. I've never seen it. I've never seen Pennyworth. But like,
so here's my question. So Justin, as a writer,
Yeah.
my thing is for Batman. So we've seen the evolution already in the how many decades now Batman's been here. But like, what's Batman in 4 decades from now?
ooh,
What's gonna happen? What do you think is a trend with Batman? Is he gonna be relevant? What do you think?
I think Batman will find a way to be relevant even 40 years from now, because something about that character won't be forgotten. People will find a way to, I think what people will do is they'll find a way to retrofit Batman to the decade he's currently in to make him make sense. Because if you look at him, look, like there were already plenty of people online who thought they made this joke first. I saw Groot again. What's going on there, Earl? But I'll say this,
I'll tell you, Justin, I don't think he's going to be
Yeah.
a white man anymore. I think 40 years ago, he may not even be a man anymore.
Yeah. Well,
I think
I
might be a robot.
here's the thing.
Not robot.
Here's the thing.
Wait for it.
Whatever, Batman will adjust to the period, because right now people have already started. The people who think, oh, I'm the first person to make this joke. Oh, Batman is a privileged white guy who beats up on mentally unstable people. And then someone will think they're the first person who tweeted that joke, and it's like, I've heard that like every other year. Thank you, good job. So my feeling is what Batman's going to eventually do is he's going to retain the elements of what we like about the character, but he will evolve and change with the times, but maintain a lot of that Batman. So what you're saying, Pat, is will Batman still be a white guy? Probably not. Maybe someone will pull that trigger and make him Asian or African American or etc. Will Batman be a robot? We'll see how the robot population is within 40 years. We'll see how
they're doing that with Terry Bogard, right?
Terry Bogard. What's that? I don't know that.
I mean, or Batman Beyond.
Oh, McGinnis,
my Terry Bogard. Terry Bogard is from the fighting game Art of Fighting. Terry.
No. Yeah.
Wrong if.
Wrong.
But yeah, they're doing that with Terry McGinnis, right? I mean, like, they're saying he's half Asian.
Yeah.
In like one of the new media, I forget which is kind of a retcon because he's supposed to be Roma, right? I think.
Yeah, I think so. And then like a lot of people are just noticing like he's drawn with very Asian-like features, even in the cartoon show. That I think people are like, there's like, why don't we just retcon that right over here? Still waiting for that retcon of Bishop to be Filipino. So just saying, just do it. That's what Wilsh wanted originally. Anyway.
I'm just going to cosplay Bishop as a Filipino guy.
Do it. Actually, you would look great. I'm not gonna lie.
Do
That would be a
it.
really
I'm
good,
telling you.
dude. That would be a really,
Bishop in the MCU.
dude. That'd be a really good cosplay for you, dude. I would love that. I would love it.
It's only because Earl Balon wants to play Bishop in the MCU. That's really. We'll start a hashtag campaign for you.
This is the seed of that campaign. I don't know.
Someone Photoshop Earl to be Bishop.
Yes, Boss Logic. Where are you, Boss Logic?
Logic, get on that. I see the work you do, Boss Logic. You made Deadpool happen, I think. I don't know, but anyway,
Earl. So, what your take on the comic books now? It's kind of like it's and I don't know what's going on in the comic books, but I think the relationship between Catwoman and Batman keeps changing, but I think now they got married. They did get married. Like, what's going on in Batman lore now? Because now that seemed to translate into the movie. Like,
Right, it definitely does. Sorry, I can't stop thinking about that one image of Batman eating out Catwoman.
Uh,
Zack Snyder. He's the one that tweeted that.
I
I was like, whoa, he went for it. But yeah, I actually don't. I'm not like super kept up with the Batman, the current Batman stuff. Like honestly, what I get is like I hear things and then I'm like, that's how I even know about Damien is like because we talk comic books. I'm like, no, that's what's happening right now. So I actually don't know. I'm more caught up with a lot of the animated stuff. So
mhm.
it's definitely
Well, it's a good thing that
I
Catwoman
would
and
love
Batman
to
didn't get
jump into it.
married. He may ended up like Spider-Man and Mary Jane and Mephisto getting in there and canceling the whole thing.
Right. Then Vision, I don't know, babies, something. Who knows?
Vision came, yeah, and
It's very
yeah,
complicated.
it says no more mutants,
It's-
no more
Yeah,
Ips.
yeah,
No more imps. Go read. Go read. Go read
King of
history.
Fighters.
How do you guys so here's a question about the industry, about the comic books, right? It seems like the films and the TV shows are minding just all the storylines from the comic books. I feel do you feel the comic book writers who come up with these storylines should get more compensated, I guess, for the screenwriters who will be inspired by their storylines and they make even more money than they did making the comic book?
Yep.
Just hypothetical question.
That's a
Because technically they should be getting a
yes.
story credit, right? They should be getting story credit.
yeah. No, they should.
And I think the artist should get a storyboard a credit as well. I don't know.
Right.
They
It's
should.
weird, right? When the comic
Yeah.
book translation from this, yeah.
I think they should definitely get some sort of like strong, decent compensation because like it's interesting when you hear a lot of comic book creators like point out like even with the Batman that just came out, like Scott Snyder tweeted, "Oh, hey, that was from my run, like an element from the new movie," and I don't know if Scott Snyder ever got anything from it, and it would be nice, I would say, because you're right, Pat. Like they're mining so much from this source material that like people came up with that before they did. And it would be nice if those people who said, hey, I came up with this really cool take on Batman in the comic and if that take is pretty much what's on
I
screen.
think it'd be a great idea for these creators who are just so mad just to quit working for Marvel and DC and just create their own comic book company. That sounds like a great idea.
Some of them have done that,
Great. Yeah, no,
but yeah, no. So I guess we're gonna wrap it up soon. But do you guys have any theories as to why Batman is still popular to this day, 80 years later?
I mean, I think
because
we
of
already kind
that,
of talked about it.
because of that Catwoman Batman
Oh yeah, it's
picture that
Catwoman
Zack
Batman.
Snyder tweeted. That's why.
Jiminy Cricket.
I think we kind of
That's what kept Batman going.
I forgot about that successfully until you brought it up again. I went, damn it! I really happily. I put that in the back of my brain and never think about it again.
it popped up on my Twitter timeline like 3 days ago, and I was like,
No.
oh, yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So why is Batman still endure?
I do think we kind of talked about it already, but it is literally the diversity of the character, or I should say the versatility of the character. Because you can keep on rebooting him and you can keep on kind of reinventing what kind of story you want to tell. Batman's almost modular in that way, as long as you keep his kind of core personality the same or his core values the same, and it can skew darker or lighter, but like it's always going to feel like Batman, like despite the fact that in the movies, like every depiction of Batman has felt like Batman. And that's like through 3 or 4 different runs, right?
Yeah.
But they've all got like that commonality in terms of like a dark past and like some kind of some kind of like I don't want to say, well, maybe like unresolved like issues within his personality, and that's what drives him forward. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's it. It's
I
quite
think the
literally
reason why
diversity of
Batman
character.
lasted so long is because I think there's a dark part of us that wants to be Batman. We can't really, some of us can't really become Batman and go out there and just
So it's like a power
fight people
fantasy.
and beat up all the vigilantes. Yeah, I think it's a part. I think we all, I think we all have our demons and stuff, and I think that
Mhm.
to enter the darkness and then try to go out there and I don't know, like it's. I think it's a total. I think it's the reason why Batman is still. I think that draws people to that because it's. I mean, come on, how I always wondered why someone dressed like a bat is supposed to be really corny and cheesy and stuff like that, but I think it's a testament to all the writers that have written him and how they just made him look cool. You know,
Right.
again, it's a combination of James Bond. It took all the things that made him cool. That James Bond, he's rich. He's almost like our dream escape, like what we want to be billionaires that can do whatever the fuck we want to do, and then like and still fight crime, and you know it's yeah.
I think there's definitely an element to that of that in this, because I mean, if you ever go to um like the who would win threads or subs on Reddit,
Mhm.
like oh my god, I mean it's kind of a running joke. Batman can defeat anybody with preparation, right?
Right.
But I mean, I think that just speaks to like the like you said, the kind of deep-seated power fantasy kind of Batman, that this normal dude with no powers um is able to stand toe to toe with quite literally a god like Superman and you know, the rest of the Justice League.
And he doesn't have to do that. He's rich. Why he could just kick back and just relax and
I know, right?
but he wants to deal with these demons.
Yeah.
It's
And
all
then
good.
and sell electric cars if he wanted
Taking
to,
an
I guess.
orphan, sure.
It's just another Saturday, you know.
Well, I think that wraps it up, right, guys?
Yeah.
I don't have the script.
So well, next week we'll be back and we're gonna dive into the TV shows, both animated and live action, because surprisingly he has a bunch. Like this IP had a bunch in both formats for the character and the lore. So I'm sure we'll be talking about Batman 66, the animated series. I wouldn't mind slipping into talks about Birds of Prey, the TV show. Anybody remembers that?
Yeah, I remember Birds of Prey.
Mm.
Dude, Mia Sarah, man.
Oh, that's right. She was Harley Quinn, right?
Yeah, or
Yeah. Yeah, she was Harley Quinn.
no.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mia Sarah was
Yeah, I
Harley
forgot.
Quinn. Yeah. And then Gotham, Pennyworth, if anyone's seen an episode of Pennyworth.
Gotham.
Gotham.
Yeah, not interested.
Yeah, same. I'm never gonna watch it. I'm never gonna watch it. You can't make
Yo, I think we all tried at one point, right? Like because I remember when it came out, when we were, you know, like writing for our blog for Agents of God,
Yeah.
everybody was like, all right, I'm gonna try to keep on this show, and I don't think any of us none of
No,
us stuck with
we
it.
had a guy who wrote weekly reviews of the show, and then he opted out after episode 8. He went, "I'm good."
Oh no.
So we'll cover all that and more next week. You can follow me. I'll start the outro. So you can follow me on social media, Instagram at Justin Quiz, Twitter at Justin Keyson. I can't believe I'm going to say this now. TikTok at Justin Quiz. And
Ticky Tax.
And also don't
We
forget,
should do a TikTok video now. Dance.
it's already on my account.
Batman dance. We should have done a Batman dance. Play
the
Prince
Prince song, yeah. And then don't forget to check out my other. Don't forget to check out my other podcasts, including Nothing New, a remake podcast. Our most recent episode that's going to come out, or if that's out already, is actually about another detective, Hercule Poirot. So we're doing the episode on Death on the Nile, and then I have a Disney Plus Diversity coming up. We're doing a stream on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. and we're doing a review on Turning Red. So that's where you can find me. Pat, take it away.
Oh, 3 seconds later. At Kid Heroes is where you can find me. And then at Lumpia Movie, everything all Lumpia Movie. If you want to get into NFTs, I'm trying to enter a metaverse, join the Kid Heroes Discord.
Ah, yes,
And
the Discord. I am everywhere online at Early Be Good. Here, there he goes. I'm everywhere online there.
Ooh.
So yeah, hit me up. I don't know.
Where did that photo? When was that photo? Like,
Which one? This one? The
yeah, where's
long-haired
that?
me?
Yeah, long-haired
Oh
you.
gosh, that was like 2006 maybe.
Dude.
Dude, that's like Cypress Hill, dude.
Yeah, for real.
I know 2006. That was before you met me, Justin.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, either of you.
Yeah, I kind of love that look. You should bring it back.
I think about it all the time. There's so much effort involved.
Fair. Okay.
All right, guys, I think we're out. Thank you so much, producer Rodney.
All right, later, folks.
See you guys next Sunday.